Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay everybody, hello, happy Saturday. I hope that you all are having an amazing day. I have received some of your guys' DMs and I'm really sorry that I have not posted. I know I'm not really doing a good job right now and you guys have every right to feel the way that you do, so I apologize. But I figured that I would update you guys before we get into today's story time. So I moved. I'm in my new apartment, thank God, because that other one was super depressing. If you saw my last video, you know that my fiance and I are done. Yeah, that I don't really know how to feel about that. So yeah, that's basically all. Let's get into today's story time. I'm gonna bring you guys up close. There we go. Okay, so for those of you who may be new here, I'm going to do my quick usual little rundown for most of the video. I'll be looking this direction because my mirror's over here and I would like to see what I'm doing. I do tell these story times in a first person point of view, so if you don't like that, then you can leave.
There's the door. There's the door, bitch!
And these story times are sent in by anonymous people. Okay, one more thing before we get into today's story time. There are gonna be a few trigger warnings in here. Obviously, I'll let you guys know whenever they actually come about, but this story time does have to do with abusive relationships. So yeah, okay, let's get into today's story. Story time about my toxic relationship with an older man. Yeah, yes ma'am. Okay, so when this whole story happened, I was 15 years old and in high school, and my family and I were living in the Middle East. If you didn't already know, some Arab families are extremely strict. And I grew up without a dad because he passed away when I was only 8 months old. Being a single parent, my mom did an okay job. She handled it way better than I think a lot of other people would handle going through something like that whenever there are kids involved. A lot of kids because I have a lot of siblings, okay? Anyway, some of the times she was strict and then other times she was my best friend depending on the situation. One thing that she was strict about was having a phone. I wasn't allowed to have one until I turned 15 years old. And when I got my phone, I finally thought that I was gonna have control over my whole life. I thought I was gonna be one of the cool, popular girls, but my mom quickly shut that shit down because yes, I had a phone, but I was still not allowed to go to parties or sleep over at friends' houses. I could hang out with my friends, but only if my older sister came with us. So yeah, now let's talk about myself and my siblings. I am the youngest of 7 siblings. Yeah, 7. Yeah. I have 5 older brothers and 1 sister. And my sister was 16 years older than me. Very big age gap, I know. Now, my family and I would say that we were middle class. Like, we had money, but we did not live in a nice house. We lived in a very small home. Like, me, my sister, and my mom, we all shared a room until my brothers moved out and my sister and I could have their room. Now, after my brother got married, he moved out into an apartment and he was building his own house. But now finally, my sister and I could have his room. And this is where the story actually begins, okay? That was a lot of background information, but let's get into this shit show. Now that I was in my brother's room, I could finally do pretty much whatever I wanted. Meaning I could talk to my friends on the phone whenever, like literally talk to them all night long on the phone about basically anything that I wanted, which we didn't talk about anything crazy, but if I wanted to, I could. Okay, that's the point. So one Sunday, I am scrolling on Instagram and I went onto my sister's profile and I was looking at who she was following. And I just started going from profile to profile to profile until I saw this guy who really caught my eye. Now, I knew a lot of my sister's friends, but I did not know who this guy was. So I was a little bit more intrigued than I would have been if I knew who he was. Anyways, growing up, I always watched K-dramas and English series. And for those of you guys who don't know what K-drama is, it stands for Korean drama and it's known for its super emotional storylines and all that shit. Okay. So watching this stuff kind of made me more of a lover girl, you know? I've always dreamed of having a boyfriend who was romantic, emotionally available whenever I would need them, someone I'd feel safe being around. I also wanted a guy that I could be feminine around, you know, I didn't have to put on this masculine act or whatever, which I'm telling you guys right now, it is super hard to come by a guy that you can be feminine around, because holy shit, they stole that from us. Like, they are sassier than us. What the fuck? Getting exhausting. Anyway, so yeah, okay, I had this dream of being with basically my Prince Charming. Now, up until this point in my life, I had never had the courage to talk to a guy, so I never caught feelings for anybody, and I didn't even know what catching feelings for somebody felt like until the one day I'm on Instagram and I like a few of his pictures, and he goes on my account and he likes some of mine, and then he even swiped up on my Instagram story, and that is how we began talking. His name is Olly, and him and I became close friends, but I wouldn't really call us friends. Like, we were too close to only be friends or even best friends. So I didn't really have a label for what our relationship was. Like, I had no idea what to call us, but I sure as hell know that it wasn't boyfriend and girlfriend yet. So anyways, fast forward, the one day I'm out with my sister and I Snapchat him a picture, and I'm all dressed up, have a full face of makeup, looking like a baddie, period. And I Snapchat him a picture and he replied saying, "Wow, you look so gorgeous today." And listen, y'all, what I'm about to say might sound so overdramatic, and for those of you who are older and who've already been through, you know, the first love or first time talking to a guy, you're gonna be like, oh my god, this bitch is so overdramatic. Listen, I was 15. I had barely ever talked to a man in my life, or a boy in my life, okay? Maybe I've gotten a compliment here and there, but not by somebody that I was actually interested in pursuing, okay? So after he sends this, I feel like this shock of electricity through my body. I immediately got butterflies, and it was like somebody had just turned a heater on full blast against my body. I was like, it was crazy, okay? I had to put the AC on blast because the bitch was fucking hot. But I feel like it was the feeling of realizing that you love someone. I know that sounds so forward, guys. Trust me, I was young. Give me a fucking break, okay? But like, have y'all ever had that moment where you maybe accidentally say I love you to somebody that you're talking to, or maybe you guys are in a relationship but you guys haven't really talked about saying it yet, or you know, but after you say it you're like, oh shit, what the fuck? Yeah, it was like that, but without actually saying it. And if none of that made sense, basically it was the moment that I realized that I loved this guy. So, you know, then I replied with a simple thank you, acting like he didn't just cause me to almost die from excitement and joy and love and happiness. It was also because I wanted to be a little bit nonchalant and, you know, act like I wasn't too into him. So yeah. Now, real quick, I don't know why I never asked him how old he was. Like, he never asked me. I kind of just thought that it was like mutually known maybe that we both were the same age. But then again, now that I think, hold on a damn minute. He knew that I was in high school, but he also knew how old he was. Something is not adding up in real math. So maybe let's do some girl math, okay? Maybe he thought that I was like 17 or 18 in high school. Doesn't really make it any better, but maybe.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But then again, obviously if I was 18, I would probably be going to college. But I don't know. Obviously, dude assumed that I was a little bit older, okay? Okay. So one day, him and I are talking, and we're telling each other stories about our lives. And I tell him how old I am, and he looked shocked. Like, very, very, very shocked. Which shocked me. He was like, I honestly thought that you were like 17 or 18 years old. Like, you know, close to being legal. And I'm like, okay. And then he told me that he was 25. I was shocked. Like, you're shocked? I'm fucking shocked right now. What are you talking about?
You're confused. I'm fucking confused, bro.
After this, I definitely thought that I was gonna receive a goodbye text and he was gonna hit that block button and never speak to me again. Because that is the mature thing to do when you're an adult and you find out that the person that you are talking to isn't as old as you thought they were. But no, apparently not. Apparently not. No, that's not what happened at all. So yeah, he continues to talk to me, and a few weeks later he tells me that he has feelings for me. And when he said that, I was extremely surprised. Like, I didn't really believe it. And this sounds a little bit sad and pathetic, but like I just never thought that I would find somebody who could fill that gap that's been there for so long after my dad died. Like, I've never felt truly loved by a man before.
Yeah, double homicide.
Think about it. I was 8 months old when my dad died. Sure, I had my brothers, but they're my brothers. I've never felt that true unconditional love where you feel protected by somebody. And if everybody else in the world hated you, there was one person who would stand by your side and still love you. Y'all, daddy issues are crazy. Let me fucking tell you. Anyway, so me and Ollie had never been on a date. We've never hung out. He never really asked me to hang out. Instead, him and I would just FaceTime, call each other, snap each other, and we did talk on the phone all night long. And because sometimes my sister would be in the room with me, I would talk to him as if he was like one of my girlfriends. I'd be like, oh yeah, Aisha, I miss you too. I love you too. That type of shit. And she didn't have a fucking clue. But let me tell you something about my sister. She's not strict, but she's also my big sister, and she does not play about me. No, she does not. So if she knew that I was talking to an older guy, she would kill me and then kill him afterwards and then bring me back to life because she still loves me because I'm her sister. So yeah, my sister is super protective, but her and I are complete opposites, okay? I'm the one who's always putting makeup on, wearing dresses, taking selfies. Meanwhile, my sister would not do any of that. She wore no makeup, normal clothes. Also, I knew that my sister loved me, but she was also the complete opposite whenever it came to showing that she loved me or showing me any kind of affection at all. Like, I love physical touch. She does not. So, you know, I would go to thank her for things and give her a hug, and she was not no. Fuck no. She treated me like she wouldn't touch me with a 10-foot pole, which is okay, you know, it's fine. Now, back to me and Ollie. We had officially been talking for 5 months, so we decided that it was finally time that we see each other. So the one day, me, my mom, and my sister decided that we were going to go on a shopping spree at the mall, and this was the perfect time for me and Ollie to finally meet. But we had to make this shit quick because, as I mentioned earlier, my mother is strict. So is my sister when she doesn't know the truth. You know, she can actually be chill about some things. So before we went to the mall, I tell my sister that I need her to distract our mom for at least 5 minutes while I meet up with this guy that I've been talking to. And I told her that his name was Stefan, he was 16, and yeah, I just added those details in to make her feel better about the whole situation, because she seemed a little bit skeptical. Could not have that. No questioning. Shh, with the questions, okay? Period. So thankfully, she decided to be a real one. She said that she would distract my mom and make sure that my mom wasn't blowing up my phone or anything like that. So fast forward, we go on our shopping spree, and then boom, we're at the Cheesecake Factory. That's when I tell my mom that I feel like my period is coming and I needed to go to the bathroom. And then I kind of go on and lie a little bit. I'm like, oh yeah, if I got my period, then I might be a little bit late coming back because I have to clean it up, because I can't walk around with dirty underwear, blah, 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 lie. So period, I'm in the clear. And I leave the Cheesecake Factory. Ollie texted me saying that he was parked outside in front of the mall. So I go outside, get in his car, and we park somewhere in the parking lot. And the first thing that man does, he grabs my face and starts eating it. Like, ew. It was very much a turn off. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys, I was disgusted. I didn't get butterflies or anything. I was literally just, yeah, disgusted. And for those of you who are like, girl, why are you feeling disgusted? Like, this is your man, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's my thing, guys. I thought that whenever I got into his car, I might actually be treated like a human being, okay? Not just like a fucking prostitute he picked up on the corner of the street, because that's literally what I felt like. I didn't get a hi, hello, how are you? I don't know, I thought maybe he would at least give me a hug before he started mawing on my fucking face. Looking back at this whole situation now, I was a baby back then. Like, yes, I was 15, but still. The fact that he saw no issue with picking up a 15-year-old girl from the mall and trying to do shit with her in his car, that's the problem here, okay? And it's funny because back then I really never understood what the big deal was when it came to teenagers and adults talking. Like, you know, I thought that it was mutual consent on both ends. You know, you're both old enough to kind of decide what you want to do. But after this next thing that I tell you, I know exactly why there are laws in place that prevent minors from dating adults, or just, yeah. I was so naive. I thought that nothing like this was ever going to happen to me because I had such a different idea of what relationships were supposed to look like. Okay guys, I'm going to put a trigger warning in here for, I don't know what you would call this. Okay, I asked ChatGPT and the trigger warning is going to be for SA. So if this makes you uncomfortable in any way, please skip to this part of the video. And yeah. Okay guys, so just when you think it can't get any worse than, you know, a 25-year-old getting a 15-year-old in his car, making out with her, not treating her like a human being with feelings, it does get worse. Because when I tell you, I was only in that car for 2 or 3 minutes before, one, I had my face eaten off. But then on top of that, he pulls out his you-know-what and he tries to talk me into giving him head. He didn't really do a lot of convincing before. I don't want to be graphic or anything like that, but before he grabbed my neck and tried to force me to do it. So I start screaming and it scared the hell out of him. Like, I don't know if he thought that he picked up like a grown, experienced woman who thought that that was sexy and a turn on, but like, I'm not any of those things, and especially not experienced. Like, bro, like that, we've had so many conversations and this is the way that he, I don't know, I'm speechless. I'm fucking speechless. So yeah, I started screaming and I guess it scared the hell out of him because he's like, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong? And I'm sitting there crying my eyes out and all I could keep saying was, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. Like, why are you doing this? And then I try to get out of the car. Like, I start opening the door handle. I'm not playing the fuck around. And he's like, no, don't get out, don't get out. I'll drop you back off. Just chill out. But it's like, bro, you want me to chill out after you basically just, like, ew. Anyway, so he drops me off. And you know how I said I love doing my makeup and getting dressed up? Well, I was super excited for today, so I did my makeup especially nice. But on this day, I decided to wear red lipstick. A red fucking lipstick. And guess what happened? My makeup was ruined. Like, I literally look like a fucking hooker. Which made me feel, like, bad about myself because it's like I just got out of this grown man's car with lipstick smeared all around my face, red lipstick, and I just feel like I look like a whore. So my mom calls me and I pick up the phone and she's like, where are you? I'm like, hey, I'm coming, sorry, I got my period. And she's like, no, like, where are you? You've been gone for so long. And I'm like, no, like, I'm coming now, I promise. I just finished cleaning up, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't go to the bathroom to fix my makeup because the one bathroom that there was way too far away from the door where he dropped me off. Thanks for that. And I couldn't go to the bathroom inside the Cheesecake Factory because my family was in there. My whole family. And if they saw me walk back into the bathroom, they'd be like, well, you just went to the bathroom, so what the fuck are you doing? So while I'm on my way into the Cheesecake Factory, I'm trying to fix my makeup with powder, but I couldn't. So I go back to the table and I sit down with my family, and literally the first thing that they say to me is, what the fuck happened to your makeup? It was so awkward. I did not even know what to say, what excuse to come up with. So I was like, I just didn't like the color of my lipstick, so I wiped it off. And then I tried fixing it with my powder and now it looks like this. You could kind of tell that there was a little bit of like, I don't know if you're lying or not, tension at the table, because it did look like what it was, aka somebody ate my face and smeared my lipstick all around. Yeah. So later on, whenever I get home, my sister barges into the room, like she slammed that fucking door open, and she got up in my face and she's like, did he fucking kiss you? Did he lay hands on you without your permission? And I was like, what? No, like, what are you talking about? It's crazy how, like, mother's intuition, you know, your sisters know too. I've had those types of moments with my sisters as well, and it's just crazy. Side note, there was one situation that happened with my sister back whenever we were super young, and I kind of always thought that something happened, but I didn't want to ask her about it. And then finally, like, 15, 16 years later, 17 years later, she told me. And I knew. So yeah, it's crazy. So I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, give me your phone now. Let me talk to this guy. So I text him and I'm like, hey, my sister wants to talk to you. Please act like we didn't do anything. So she actually took my phone, went to the bathroom and talked to him. I didn't know what he said to her. I didn't know what she said to him. I couldn't hear anything. But then afterwards, she changed into her pajamas and gave me my phone back and went to sleep like nothing happened. So I guess the talk went good, period. That night, I was talking with Olly before we went to bed. And I told him straight up that I didn't like what he did. I was like, you know, I was uncomfortable, I was nervous, and he kept apologizing to me, but I did tell him, like, I never imagined that someone would ever do that to me, especially you. You were my first kiss. You're my first ever boyfriend, the first guy that I've ever actually liked and tried to pursue. Like, yo, when I tell you, this situation actually really traumatized me, like, it really fucking did. Like, it was a really scary moment. So I think just to shut me up about the whole situation and make me feel better and get me to leave him alone and go to sleep and let him go to sleep, he was like, when you turn 18, I'm gonna marry you. And I was like, okay, period, per. So fast forward, I tell my mom that I want to sign up for a gym membership, not so I could go to the gym, but so I could see my boyfriend whenever I wanted. She said yes, and I literally paid $200 for this gym membership. $200 a month just so I could see my man. Was it worth it? If you would have asked me back then, I would have said yes. But now, if I was even forced to go through that shit again, I would off myself. And that is not an understatement. Anyway, so one day we planned to see each other. I went to the gym, he came and he picked me up, and we drove to that same parking lot that we were in the first time that shit went down. Things were okay at first, you know, we started talking, having normal conversation like human beings. It was very nice to be treated like a human with human feelings. Guys, I don't know if I should put another trigger warning in here because it doesn't have to do with like SA, but more of just manipulation. We'll put a trigger warning in here just in case. If this stuff makes you uncomfortable in any way, please skip to this part of the video. So yeah, we sit in the parking lot, you know, we're talking, and then what do you know? The same bullshit happens again. This time I didn't cry. I just did and went along with whatever he wanted to do. I think I kind of disassociated. Honestly, I felt numb. Like I was only doing this to make the person that I loved happy. I didn't actually want to be doing this. But I didn't want him to not love me and I didn't want him to leave. So later, after we did what we did in the car, we were sitting there just talking again. And we started talking about dating and relationships. And this is when he told me that he couldn't marry me anymore. Little did I know this was a blessing in disguise, but back then, I was really upset by this. He said it was because of my age. Like, oh, now my age matters after we just did that bullshit. Like, men are fucking hilarious. Some of them really do belong in cages in a zoo. I'm just fucking kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Only in this case. Anyways, and then he's like, yeah, we would have to wait a couple of years. But then he tells me that he can't wait because he's growing up. In that moment, he completely broke my heart. The first guy that I had ever done anything with used me for his own personal enjoyment. So then I come up with an idea to make him jealous because I don't want him to leave me. I thought maybe it would change his mind. I told him that I was seeing somebody else. I lied to his face, obviously. I wasn't seeing anybody else. The crazy part is though, he actually thought that I was serious. So serious to the point where he started to get violent. Okay, everybody, we're gonna put another trigger warning in here. This has to do with physical violence. So if this makes you feel in any way uncomfortable, please skip to this part of the video. Yeah, he decided to get physically violent with me. He unplugged his phone charger from the car and he started whipping me with the wire. Yeah, I didn't think he was capable of ever doing anything like this to me, to be honest. Thought that he really loved me and really cared about me, but here we are. Obviously, I'm crying and screaming at him to stop. And then when he finally did stop, he looked at me and he was like, you know what? I'm not gonna leave you. You're mine and only mine.
Run, bitch!
Just a quick reminder for anybody listening. I am still 15 years old at this point in the story, in the car with a 25-year-old man. terrified because of what I just went through. Okay? Okay, let's move on. So after this, I go back home. And I was completely traumatized all over again. 2 days later, he texted me saying that he was going to be traveling with his friends and we had to meet up and see each other because he really missed me. And I told him that him and I wouldn't be seeing each other again because I was extremely afraid of him. So the same old shit, he keeps apologizing. Anyways, fast forward, I did end up seeing him one more time and we start talking more about the fact that he's gonna be traveling with his friends. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna go partying and go clubbing because that's what I like to do. And I also like to do drugs. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's basically like, what do you mean, what do I mean? I like to do drugs, I like to party. And I never in my life thought that I would be talking to an older man who's a complete piece of shit and on top of that does drugs. So I tried to talk him out of doing that and he was like, I'm sorry, like I've been an addict since I was 18. I'm not gonna stop being one, blah, 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 blah. So I say goodbye to him and I go back home. I lay down, take a nap, a depression nap. But then my sister, round 2, comes bursting my door open in the fucking room. And she's like, you're talking to Olly. And I'm sitting there like, bitch, you the police? How the fuck do you know? And I was like, what? And then she was like, you're talking to Olly. And I go, what do you mean? Who's Olly? And she was like, don't do that to me. You lied. You're talking to a guy who's 25 years old and he's lying to you, which is like, ouch. Don't gotta rub it in, bitch. But no, I know she was just looking out for me. Anyways, she was like, listen, he is a bad guy. He's literally a crackhead, known for being one. Why are you talking to him? Before I could respond, she goes, he's a douchebag, he's a fucking loser, he's broke as hell. I thought you were talking to somebody your age. And I was like, how did you even find out? And she goes, well, let's see. We live in a small town. Everybody knows everybody. I told my friends you were talking to a guy. They investigated. And guess what? Olly's brother is friends with one of my friends. And one of my friends told me that Olly's been going around saying that he has a girlfriend who is 17 years old. Y'all, my sister was so mad at me. It was valid, but she was like, I'm calling the fucking police. And I begged her not to. Like, I begged her not to call the police. She was yelling, he's such a bad influence on you. Why do you even love him? And guys, being 15 years old, even just young in general, a lot of minor conveniences in life that have to do with like relationships and stuff like that, it feels like your world is ending. It really does. I felt like my whole life would literally be over if I was not with him. I felt like I needed that man. I'd never felt loved like this before, even though he abused me, even though I actually never felt safe with him. I don't know if it was a trauma bond or that I just have daddy issues really badly. Call it whatever you want, but that's just how I felt back then. So I finally convinced my sister not to call the police. She agrees, but she makes me promise that I will never speak to him ever again. I was like, okay, I promise. But I lied. Not gonna lie, I lied. So fast forward, he starts traveling from country to country. Oh yeah, and during this time he wasn't really texting me, probably because he was on crack partying with his friends. And y'all, this is when my inner FBI investigating skills activated. Like, he didn't have to tell me one single thing. All I had to do was look on his Instagram. I found out where he was staying. I knew the people he was traveling with. And guess what else? I knew all the girls that he was around. I found out that he was cheating on me when I came across this girl's profile. She was in the exact same country as him, at the exact same hotel, and in her bio she had his initial with a red heart emoji and a ring next to it. Also, in her profile pic, you could tell that she was holding my man's hand because he had on the same exact watch that he would always wear when we were on FaceTime, when I hung out with him. That's how I knew that he was cheating on me. Fast forward, he comes back. And my sister told me that he was back. She started asking me if I talked to him or not, and I decided to tell her the truth. She was completely shocked. And y'all, her eyes started to tear up. And I've never ever in my life seen my sister get emotional like this around me. It was almost uncomfortable at first. But she cried and she hugged me. She was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that that happened to you. I wish I would have known. And yeah, we both ended up crying together. It was actually a really nice moment between us. One of the moments that I cherish. So then my sister tells me that she's gonna call the cops on him. And this time I let her. So then, you know, she looks at me and she's like, okay, but if I do this, you have to promise you're not gonna get mad at me. Like, this is the end of this situation. And I'm like, I won't. She was like, no, like, I don't want to hear any of this. He was my first love. He's your boyfriend. You love him, blah, 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 this, that, and the next. And I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified because this was my first love that I was most likely about to send to jail. But I was also furious that he had taken advantage of me the way that he did. And I didn't have anything left in me but to just let it happen. And just to put this in there too, you know, I told you guys that my mom is strict, but that doesn't mean that she's not a good mom. My mom is an amazing mother. She gave me everything that I needed and more. I got over $1,000 allowance a month. And from that money, I saved up and I bought him a Gucci card holder, a Dior cologne, and being 15 and being able to buy your boyfriend or your significant other just real gifts like that is fucking insane. And him, he didn't give me shit. Every time that we went out, I paid for it. Whether it was coffee, food, it did not fucking matter. So eventually my sister ends up calling the cops on him and she files a complaint. After that, I didn't hear from him for 2 whole months. I tried to call him, but his phone was off. And I went to my sister and I was like, hey, I wanted to ask you something about him. But not because I miss him, I just want to know what happened to him. And she told me that he got arrested. Not just that, but before he got arrested, she told her guy friends everything that had happened with him and I. And when I tell you, like, these are my sister's guy friends, but they're more like brothers. They do not play about my sister. So when they heard that somebody was messing with me, oh, it was like you just punched her in the face in front of them. So they went and they literally beat the shit out of him. Yeah, that man got a good spanking. And then the cops came and then, you know, he went to jail. Yeah. I'm 21 now, and all I want to say is to all the girls out there, please do not talk to an older guy, no matter how mature you think he is or cool you think he is, especially if you're a minor. It's not cool, okay? You are already in a very vulnerable position to be taken advantage of as a woman, let alone a young woman. Okay? It's not safe. You are not 25 years old talking to a 40-year-old man. If you're in high school, talking to somebody in college, it's not fun or cool. That's called pedophilia. You know, these guys who like underage girls. Okay? A lot of these older men know that young girls are, I'm not saying anything against, you know, young girls, but you're easy to manipulate. Especially when you haven't had the life experiences that older women have had. It is very easy for you to be manipulated by a man who has gone throughout life, been through relationships, knows how to play the game, knows how to get into girls' pants, knows how to make a girl feel special and feel wanted. So yeah. And if you are in an abusive relationship, it is never too late to leave. Just remember that. Okay? Never too late to leave. Another thing is, you know, if you went through shit in your childhood and all you're looking for is to be the feeling of being loved, please do not think that somebody who treats you in a way where you even have to question it a little bit is going to be the right person to show you how it feels to be truly loved. I am telling you guys this story so you can learn from it. Okay, everybody, that is the end of today's story time. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button down below. And if you want to know whenever I post my next video, make sure to click that bell. And if you guys want to send in your anonymous story time, or you want to know how to send in your anonymous story time, you actually can't send in your anonymous story time right now unless it's through Instagram because the link is broken. So yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, I will see you guys next time with a new story time.